Hello and welcome back to Podcast with a K. I'm your host, Karla with a K, and I am joined here on this fine Sunday evening, Monday morning, whenever you're listening to this, by the Thomasville Mural Project. Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Going so well. So tell me a little bit about yourselves. What are y'all's names? How'd you get into this? I want to know everything.
All right. Excuse me. My name is Jeff Beck. I'm an artist. I've been doing murals for about 10 or 11 years now. Kind of started in Greensboro painting murals, and have done murals around Greensboro, Winston, High Point, Lexington, Virginia, and beyond. several places around North Carolina.
Sure thing.
I'm Adrian, and I've been doing art my whole life. And I mean, I just started dabbling in doing the spray paint art with Jeff about 3 years ago. But I prefer to do like mixed media art. I like to incorporate crystals into my art and just do things kind of out of the box.
That is pretty awesome. And I kind of love that you have different backgrounds and yet you kind of collaborate to make the masterpieces that we've been seeing around town. So you're both local to the North Carolina area.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yep. So what kind of inspired the Stark to get into murals in the first place?
Well, for me, I went to Richmond, Virginia. They have a mural project there where they have 2 weeks out of the year, they bring artists from all over the world to just paint multiple murals in a 2-week time span. And I think they have maybe close to 200 murals in Richmond. So me and a friend went up there to check it out. And I immediately just fell in love with the whole mural and street art culture, just watching the artists paint, talking to them, and just the kind of the whole vibe of painting this massive painting in front of everyone. So seeing that kind of really just sparked something in me to come back and bring that here.
It's definitely a really cool way to connect to the community because, like you said, even while you're painting, people are walking by, kind of seeing stuff, asking questions, admiring the art kind of in progress. So it kind of becomes almost a performance piece as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. And you have to kind of get used to that. Something I wasn't used to at the beginning, but people want to talk to you and ask about what you're doing, how you're doing it, what supplies you're using. So it really did help me get out of my shell because you're constantly talking to people while you're painting too. So it was good.
And I'm sure some good conversations come out of that as well, right? What are some of the coolest takeaways you've gotten from talking to passerby?
The woman that cried.
Yeah, that's always one we talk about. It was the Christmas mural that we painted last year
on the Alibi.
Yeah, on the Alibi here in Thomasville, and this lady just pulled over. We kind of thought she was going to say something negative because we do get that as well. But she pulled up and was talking to us about how what we were doing. It was a vintage themed Christmas mural. So she said it reminded her of her childhood growing up with Christmas and just the excitement that it brought her for her and her family. And she started crying and was just thanking us for doing the projects and the art that we're doing here in Thomasville. And she even paid for our lunch that day too.
That is beautiful.
Really
that
awesome.
Is so wholesome. I love that you've gotten, I guess, this type of reaction because I feel like we've definitely had a bit of a shift in recent times, but I feel like there's definitely a part of my life in which I remember street art in general, whether it was graffiti or murals, was kind of viewed upon as tacky or not necessarily embellishing the community. And now I feel like everywhere you go, there's new mural projects sprouting up left and right.
Yeah, and I mean, we still get our share of negative comments and things like that, but we really try to not focus on that too much.
The positive definitely outweigh the negative. So
yeah, by far. So it definitely has become way more acceptable here over at least the past decade, I would say.
100%. And again, I think it's really, really cool that it's becoming more commonplace because it gives people kind of something to connect to, you know? It gives people a landmark. Even here in town, there used to be a huge wall where there were handprints from the 100th year anniversary of the city, right? And whenever they took that down, everyone was like, wait, where are you taking that? Why did you get rid of that? When even at the time, there was half of the people who loved it, everyone who had participated and put their handprints on the wall to say, I was here. And then
Yeah.
the other half that didn't really see the point to, you know, painting a wall in an alleyway, right? But it was kind of interesting to see the community come together when they did take it down to be like, wait, but that was a part of the town.
Yeah, I would say that was probably the most negativity that we got was
The handprint
the
murals.
handprint mural.
But it wasn't even up to us.
Yeah, the city come to us because it's on City Hall.
Right.
And they came to us because they were refurbishing the facade of City Hall anyway. So they were going to paint the City Hall a new solid color.
Right.
And so they came to us to talk about painting a mural because we had gotten a grant at the time to paint a mural somewhere. And they came to us and offered us the wall there. And we got
the blowback for it.
Yeah, we got blamed for the mural being painted over, and it was quite a bit of negativity.
But I think over time people came to accept it, and it was a beautiful piece that you guys did.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, it kind of, much like everything else on the internet, kind of faded away, you know, and it still gets brought up every now and then when we paint a new mural. Someone has to talk about
the handprint,
the handprint mural. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty much accepted at this point because we've been doing them here in Thomasville for about 3 years. But the Tville Mural Project we just started last year, so we've been doing that for at least a year now.
Right. And so this kind of spark, at the very least, did garner the attention, and now that your murals are everywhere, I feel like it's kind of like, you know, it was unfortunate how the turning of the page came, but it was indeed a new chapter for the city in which now there's kind of art everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're still trying to do not just the Tville Mural Project. We try to do other things as well. We actually started doing art scavenger hunts in Thomasville.
Wow.
That's where we kind of started getting our feet wet in the art scene of Thomasville. We would
do resin molds.
Yeah, we would do resin, paintings, just any type of art, and we would hide it downtown, and then we would go on our social media pages and give hints and clues as to where the art was. And you know, people would go down there, and it was really cool to kind of sit back and watch a lot of people come downtown that maybe at the beginning we weren't getting a lot of foot traffic downtown, and it was really cool. People walking around looking for the art and stuff like that.
And mind you, this was also during COVID, so
right.
it allowed people to be able to get out of the house, but still social distance and have a good time.
Yeah.
That is a really smart way to look at that. And I think it's also cool that you get to then see people want to be a part of something and then make that effort to be a part of it. Because even kind of around the time of COVID, a little bit before, I say, was a time when we were seeing the painted rocks kind of trend take over everywhere. So I think this was kind of a good way to, like, I guess, update that, modernize it, if you will.
Yeah.
And it also lets you, Adrian, do a little bit of your mixed media.
Yeah, that was really fun. I do like doing the resins.
What would you say has been your favorite piece of art or your favorite stunt that you guys have pulled in that way then?
Maybe the Santa hunt.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably have to say the Santa hunt.
Yeah, that was another scavenger hunt. We did resin Santa Claus, and we painted them differently. Everyone was different.
And one of them you made into a Krampus. And
it
was like the really rare one.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
And gosh, how many did we do? Maybe
30, I think.
30 pieces.
Oh, wow.
hid them around town. We made a map. We went kind of all out for that one.
Yeah.
And Fox 8 covered it. We did it that first year, and it was really popular. So
we actually got local businesses involved
Yeah.
to donate
That's
prizes
cool.
for the winners. So it's kind of bringing some light to some local businesses that people may have overlooked before.
It's pretty impressive. It's really, really impressive that you were able to do that.
Yeah, it was fun. We're definitely all about community as much as we possibly can, and art is always thrown on the back burner. So we chose to really showcase art and a lot of the stuff that we do.
And it seems like this has been a thing happening kind of in the area in general. I remember growing up, there used to be more arts initiatives, and then they kind of faded away whenever grants started getting taken away and that money was diverted elsewhere. And then, changes in leadership kind of led to more efforts to bring back the arts again. And so now, like your mural project, I spoke last week, or I guess the week before, to a Lexington artist, Ken Job, around, I think, late 20s, early 30s, so kind of newer in the scene. He has been going around speaking to schools about getting kids involved in art and painting, which I think is really cool to see, because Lexington, close enough to Thomasville, that there's kind of like a proximity sort of bubble here in which there's really just a drive to get people back into the arts, which is awesome, because there are a lot of jobs in the arts. It's not always the starving artist story where you're just in a corner with your canvas, right? Like there's ways to like reach people and kind of, like you said, get the community involved.
Oh yeah. We like I said, we try to get the community involved. I think the theme for the Tville Mural Project this year was in North Carolina endangered species, which we had 5 or 6 different themes that we put online and let the community vote for which one that they wanted. So just ways to get the community involved. We're always looking for cool, creative ways to get everyone involved.
Right. And you did paint, you mentioned the alibi. You have a painting of a frog over there, I believe, currently?
Yeah, the pine barren tree frog. It's a endangered frog in like the wetlands of North Carolina.
And so do you have more plans to make more murals kind of like that with other animals from North Carolina to raise awareness?
Yeah, we have
Misty's Bakery.
Yeah, Misty's Bakery. We're gonna paint the red wolf. Yeah, the red wolf, and I can never remember her name. Oh no!
Hold on, wait. CCM.
CCM. It's a
Cooperative Communities Ministry.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
But we're gonna paint loggerhead sea turtles on that
Cute.
one.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's cool. And so with these themes, how do you go about choosing them?
She's usually the mastermind on choosing.
Okay. Collaborative effort.
Search and stuff like that. So that's her all the way.
And what drove you then to want to do this endangered species theme? What put that on your radar?
I just think, it's something that most people don't really think about a lot, and more attention needs to be drawn to it. Like we need to take care of our planet a little bit better and the inhabitants in it, not just us.
Right. That's a very good point. And this kind of lines up with how you are currently doing these murals, right? I believe you're doing this as a nonprofit effort right now.
Yeah, we're doing it nonprofit. I am part of PACE Downtown Thomasville. I'm the chairperson of the design committee, and Adrian volunteers on the group and we work together on the design committee, coming up with things. So PACE Downtown Thomasville and Thomasville Tourism have been really the 2 organizations that have helped get the project going. They've donated money to us last year and this year
to get started.
Yeah, to cover supplies. That's really about where we're at in funding right now. Is we just get enough to cover the supplies for each mural. We have applied for some larger grants this year, but we probably won't hear about those till third or fourth quarter of this year. So
right.
If that happens, it's going to open up the project pretty wide, and then we'll be able to incorporate more artists and on walls, and we can do more marketing and social media, all that kind of stuff.
And a lot of artists have been like, reaching out to us, but we work for free right now. We do these for free, and we just don't feel it's right to ask another artist to do it for free. So we want to wait until funding comes in so that they're able to be paid for their work.
Right. Which makes sense, because for a lot of people, art is kind of the lifeblood that they're pursuing. For some people, it is a hobby, so they might be willing to work. But I understand the mentality behind wanting to kind of head a team properly and not just, hey man, come paint.
Yeah, because we hate, when people want us to say, oh, here, can you do this for free? Or, well, if you do this, I know so many people, I hate
you can't pay the bills with exposure, right?
And, I do graphic design as well, and we do commission murals too. So that really helps.
Offset.
Yeah, helps offset doing the murals for free right now. So.
Right. Well, best of luck with those larger grants. I definitely hope to see this project expand, which leads me to another question. I think I have two questions, but I'm going to choose one right here. Would you guys ever expand out of North Carolina, or do you enjoy kind of becoming a fixture of the local scene? Because you've mentioned a lot how important community is to you, and this is definitely a community that's excited about your work.
I don't know if we would do take the mural project to other areas. We definitely, want to do more commission and do more murals ourselves kind of outside the area. Just because you kind of have to be ingrained in the community to do a project like this. To me, it might be kind of hard to say, take this to Georgia and, try to create the same spark.
Right.
At least with us, we make it talk to other artists and kind of give them a blueprint of what we're doing.
Kind of outsource the actual task to someone that understands the area, but still within the umbrella that is the mural project.
Yeah, and sometimes communities, if you're not kind of local, sometimes you get a little pushback from that. So we would love to see more projects like this pop up for sure, in other small towns and everything.
So more than anything, you would aim kind of to inspire other art collectives to do similar things.
Yeah. But I really think that, Thomasville needed this really bad.
Yeah.
And, with us being, involved with PACE, the nonprofit, they're a downtown revitalization nonprofit. So it just made sense to try to help revitalize downtown with artistic efforts.
And what a way to do it. There's currently also another initiative that I've seen with painted pianos, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, that was actually the vice president of PACE and the PACE design committee.
Priscilla.
Priscilla.
Yes.
She came up with that project, and we kind of talked about it in the design committee and PACE, and they approved the project, and the design committee is offsetting a little bit of funds to help at least pay for the art supplies to paint each piano. And Priscilla's kind of running up that project and kind of running with that, and it's gotten a lot of attention over the past couple of days.
And that's pretty awesome. I have been to other cities that have, kind of similar vibes, where they have either a mural project or even specifically the painted pianos, or Lexington has the pigs. And so it's kind of cool to kind of see that coming back to Thomasville, because one of the first things that you see when you come into town is the murals of the old town, right? There's murals all over that have been up for longer than I've been alive, I'm sure, of what the city used to look like. And every so often they'll get touched up, but it's cool to see new art being brought into a space where old art had existed and it just kind of had fallen off to the side, right? And so now that that's coming back as a thing for Thomasville, which is it's a small city, but it's a very central city, I think it's worth the effort to make it beautiful again. And that's why we have the beautification committee and PACE and all of these efforts to bring life back into what everyone said was turning into a ghost town.
Yeah, it's been fun. I've always said, I like the art in New York. All the street art and murals there, all the murals and stuff in Wynwood, down in Florida.
Yes. Oh,
Um,
Wynwood is beautiful.
yeah, I've never been, or I don't. You've never been either, right?
No.
Yeah, that's on our bucket list to go check out. But I've always said, we can't be there, so let's bring that here to where we are. And this is on a much smaller scale, but
You got to start somewhere.
yeah,
Start small, dream big, right?
exactly.
So I got to see Wynwood Walls on a work trip at the start of the year, which was really cool. It was kind of one of those off the cuff contracts that I took, and it just kind of took me everywhere. And so that was super, super inspirational. And you mentioned that was a bucket list item for you. So I want to ask, what are some bucket list things for the project? Like what is it that you would like to do? What is your dream project here?
We want to do a mural fest.
Yeah, that's been kind of not necessarily the end goal of Tville Mural Project, but like the top of the mountain.
We want to accomplish. We want
Right.
to accomplish.
Yeah,
this.
yeah, we kind of are working on that almost every day, just kind of coming up with things that we can do and ways to kind of make it work in the city, because like you said, it is a small downtown. So there are hurdles with organizing the events
and our ordinances being different than other cities.
Right.
Yeah, a big one is someone like Bearded Goat or Goose and Monkey can't come here and set up like a beer tent or a beer truck and sell beer. Non Only a nonprofit can do that.
Okay.
We've been trying to get that changed.
Yeah, that's another fight on the back burner that we're trying to get
baby
changed.
steps, I suppose.
Yeah, and once that gets approved, I think it might make it a little easier, just because I don't want to say it's a must that you have alcohol at events, but it does help bring in.
It brings a certain crowd in.
Yeah, it brings more people. It brings a certain crowd, and it just kind of adds to the event. And
right.
We're trying to do that. We're trying to just think of logistically how we can do it, because we would love to have 5 to 8 artists painting all at the same time. And
and that would be awesome.
And just music, food trucks, all kinds of stuff going on.
Yeah, and I guess there could be workarounds, like maybe host this near, so like for example, the Alibi or one of the other bars in town. Like there could be ways to work around this, but I remember a conversation with one of my art professors in which we were talking specifically about the red tape that is around murals and larger scale pieces and performance art, in which the good thing about being an artist is that if you see red tape, you can paint it another color.
Exactly. Yeah. That's something that we do on a daily basis.
But that is really cool, and that would be super, super awesome to see, especially because there clearly is a lot of call for art right now, and there's a lot of people growing kind of into the art space and people who work in other parts of the arts. For example, Dana Holiday, who's one of the muralists also in town, I've seen like she's doing like paint and sips, like people still doing things, but it would be really cool to see all of these artists come together to make something actually large scale like that, because it would put Thomasville on the map for that.
Yeah.
I mean, we would love to see like an art district in Thomasville.
Yes.
That's another project on a long list of things that we're trying to do. And we love the city that we're in. I was born and raised here, moved away for a couple of years, but came back right, like literally the month that COVID shut everything down. That's when I moved to Thomasville and decided I want to try to do a lot of art stuff, and we couldn't because COVID. And and we started dating right around that time, and we were just like, we got to get out of the house. We got to do something. How the scavenger hunt thing started was just not wanting to be cooped up in the house anymore and wanted to do art.
Right. Well, and I mean, that's all it took. And now here you are, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So as our time here kind of draws to a close, do you guys have any final takeaways, remarks, or statements? What is it that you would say to somebody who wants to get involved in the arts and is trying to find their space within this bubble?
I mean, just if there's a project you want to do, if there's you know, something in art you want to do, just start the process and go out and try to make it happen. That's how we did it with the murals. We were just like, we want to do this project, we want to paint murals, so we just started asking businesses if they had walls that they would donate. And you know eventually we started getting some in, and it was a little hesitant at first, but we explained to a lot of people how it works. And then once we got that, then it was like kind of a snowball effect. We started getting more and more people wanting to donate walls and things like that. So it's just, if there's something you want to do, just go for it. And a lot of times it's not going to fall on your lap, and it's a lot of hard work to make it happen. And a lot of people don't like to do that part. They just want to paint or draw, and which we get that too. We really just want to paint, but there is a whole long drawn out process a lot of times to get projects like that started.
But once you get them, they keep coming.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Get that ball rolling, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your day to speak to me. Do you guys want to plug your accounts here? Where can people follow you? Where can people reach you?
We're on Instagram and Facebook at Tville Mural Project, both social medias, and we beg people to take photos at the murals and hashtag Tville Murals, because that's what kind of helps the momentum with the project is being able to see all these photos online of people taking pictures, and it's a way to help us track community engagement in the murals.
And also with the alibi, because it is a rotating mural, it doesn't stay the same. So it's a way to remember the ones that we've covered up.
Yeah.
Right. So get those pictures in while y'all can. All right. Well, definitely follow them there. Thank you guys so much for speaking to me. Let's use a song to transition into our next segment. So tell me a little bit, what are you listening to? What are you into? What are we signing off with?
A Perfect Circle, Eat the Elephant.
All right. Awesome. Do you have anything you'd like to say about that song, or should we just get right into it?
Well, just everything they do is awesome.
Yeah, it's a really awesome song. It's kind of like the old saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And I think it talks a lot about problems that people have individually and the greater world with all the problems that we have. And it's kind of like, take little bites at these problems to help try to make everything better.
Right. And that's actually a good way to look at how you said that you could get into murals and painting and starting any project that you'd like, one bite at a time.
Exactly.
All right. So without further ado, here is that. Very much enjoyed talking to them. And they kind of fit this parallel that we've been having recently, in which we have people who are essentially artists, right? In whatever field they're in within the arts, who just kind of chased what they wanted to do and they did it. I mean, even just in this year of the podcast, like we started off with Zachary Charles from Arizona, a group of friends that was like, all right, start a band, see what happens. That happened. Ken Job wanted to be an artist, was an artist, see what happens. Abby Respondek decided to want to be a photographer, now she's a photographer. And I very much enjoy when people do that, because it's kind of, on one hand, of course, it's inspirational, right? To see somebody chase their dream and find success. On the other hand, I feel like that's really the only way to live life. Like, that is the human experience. You want to do something, simply do it. I know it's a lot easier said than done, but it's really cool to see that people actually manage to make it happen. And I've been having a bit of an introspective moment recently, in that I do this thing where every time that I'm in between things, I'm always like, oh man, the world is horrible, life is hard, I have so many setbacks and things that I can't control, and I'm just stuck dealing with them. Yeah, sure, okay, well, that may be true, but at the same time, every time that I've wanted to make something happen, I kind of just make it happen. And that's not a realization that I ever had on my own. It's things that have been pointed out to me before. I actually think I've mentioned this on the podcast in a different conversation, but whenever we were, all graduating college, or maybe this was before, this might have been during COVID. Well, for me, I guess that was year 3. So the year before my senior year of college, I was hanging out with my former roommate, and we were kind of just talking about what our plans were for the future if this is the world that we were going to be living in, right? And I mentioned like everything that I do has to be in person, it has to be with other people, everything that I want to do, rather. And I was lamenting for everything that was going virtually because I was like, yeah, I can work remotely, I can do this, I can do that, but I can't do this, but I can't do that. And she was like, Karla, you're going to be fine. You know why I know you're going to be fine? Because you're a hustler. You got to this point of your life by being a hustler. Because before school, I was out of school for 3 years because school is expensive. Situations beyond my control. You've heard the story before. And either way, I managed to make it work because I simply did a painting. I did more paintings. They sell out at an auction. And then more people find out about the paintings and they're like, make me a painting. And I'm like, sick. And I ended up painting for 3 years, which was not what I wanted to do at the time, but it was a former dream of mine, right? And so, like, for me, at this point in life, like, I've gotten over the part of my life where I was so jaded to everything that I was doing. I was apathetic to everything that I had at my hands because it's not what I wanted to have, or because it felt like this could only go so far. Rather than celebrating the victories, I was dreading the downfalls. And who's to say there's even a downfall coming, But in essence, what the point that I think I'm trying to make is that your outlook and your perspective shifting is a huge thing, because as soon as I started seeing things differently, in that, oh, this is the situation that I'm in, there's nothing I can do to change it. So rather than sitting here in a corner licking my wounds over it, why not simply get up, go somewhere else, right? And that's kind of been my mentality ever since, because it was one of those like overnight sort of epiphanies in which you have that realization and you're like, well, I have to do something, otherwise I'm never going to do anything. And that's kind of how I started living, taking everything day by day. Like, this is what I can accomplish today, and this is what I have to do in order to do something different tomorrow, right? And that's what's kind of carried me through. That's how I ended up at the radio station. That's how I ended up with this podcast. That's how I ended up doing any of the contracts that I've had. And again, I find myself at this crossroads where it's like, man, what am I doing? At the same time, it's not like I don't have anything that I could be doing, right? So I I feel like I'm going around in circles a lot in my own mind about this, but in essence, it's all kind of a part of the same thing. What I admire in others and the people that I like to keep around me are people like that, are hustlers, or go-getters, which is a slippery slope into like grind culture, like people who are like, oh, if you're not working a 9 to 5 and also a 5 to 9, what are you doing, right? Like, that's unrealistic and that's toxic. I mentioned this in the show with Mac and in previous episodes, where the post that I saw that said, why are we working and paying taxes? We were put on this planet to take naps and eat berries. And I do think about that a lot, and I think that it's interesting to find ourselves in this position, because at the same time, there has to be time for yourself. But to me, that doesn't mean only taking naps and only eating berries. To me, that means taking time to do things that you want to do, right? Like, before this right here, before what I am doing right now, what I did today. In the morning, I did some work for my current contract, and then I worked on a commission, which was a digital painting. And then I decided that I was going to practice guitar. I have not picked up the guitar since I was last home from in between work trips. So this would have been in March. I have not touched my guitar since March, which is ridiculous because I am paying for like the online class set that came with the guitar, and I had the goal of, around those work trips, having that as a constant in my life. When I was a kid, I did piano lessons for like 10 years. And so it was always a thing that I had wanted to do. was basically, keep up that music practice so that I wouldn't lose any of it. And I haven't. And I realized that today, again, moments of epiphany, am I right? And I had that realization. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to pick up the guitar. I'm going to play the guitar. And I picked up the guitar and I played the guitar. I did a refresher on one of the little lessons. And then I went to a song that was stuck in my head so I could practice it, get sick of it, and have it not be in my head. And guess what? It worked and I did it and my fingers hurt. But I remembered the riff at the beginning. I actually found a correction to make to the riff in the middle. And now I know the song and I remember how to do scales on the guitar, which doesn't sound very impressive if you're a musician. But for me, it is, because I never did music lessons for guitar. I did piano. And everything that I know about guitar is self-taught from, little chord grids at the top of the music sheet. But that's what I'm saying. Like, if you want to do something, you can simply just do it, like within, reason and measure. But like, it's not like it's unreal. Like, I had to pay for that guitar, right? So I had to, like, the long story of that is I had to work to have the money to buy the guitar. Once I had the guitar, I had to sit there and relearn everything to get to the point where now I can do songs where I have not just chords, not just picking, but a combination of riffs and chords and like finger sound. Like it's so much that has led me to this point. And so I'm sitting here like, man, I can't get past the middle of the song. And then I'm like, man, it took me some work to get to the point where I could get to the middle of the song. So you see, it's like a mentality shift. And the same way that I decided today, get guitar, practice guitar, relearn guitar, great, phenomenal. That's the mentality that I apply to pretty much every other aspect in my life as well now. In that, I wanted to be a part of the new city's initiative to, paint the pianos. And so I reached out to the lady in charge and I was like, hey, what's up with this? And she was like, this is what's up with this. And so I was like, sick, here's my concept. She was like, sick, approved. And so now I get to paint one of the pianos in my city, which is cool because that feeds back into the hobby turned freelance endeavor of being a painter. And it's astounding to me that there's things like that right now I'm in the moments and I'm like in the glory of it. Like I get to do this. This is like, the next step to fulfilling the childhood bucket list item of being a muralist someday. Maybe if not by career, I at least want to paint one mural in my life. All right. Like that's a bucket list item. That's something I've always wanted to do. I, painted my bathroom. I've done a couple of in-home murals in other people's houses on commission. And so, I've always wanted to do like big, large scale insert item here, right? Whether it's painting, whether it's directing, whether it's producing, whether it's, anything and everything that I ever do as like I wonder what this is about. The inevitable is that I want to do that large scale at least once. And so right now in the moment, I'm sitting here like, hell yeah, this is the thing that I wanted to do. And I hope that I don't fall into a pattern that I tend to fall in, where I like give into imposter syndrome, where I give into self-doubt, and I, in the future, say that I am in the running for, a concept for a mural, and I don't get chosen. If I keep this pattern up, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to be so upset that I didn't get it and I wasn't good enough and they didn't choose me. And the piano's not going to matter to me anymore, right? Because it's not going to be relevant. Meanwhile, right here, I'm sitting here celebrating that victory. And what I'm trying to do for myself is keep that mentality shift going, in which I take the time to celebrate the wins, because I have historically not done that. And it sucks because even something as simple as like when I graduated high school and community college at the same time with that dual enrollment program that I did with early college, I posted one picture, which was a selfie outside for either one. Just a selfie outside with the fit, with the cap and gown. And that's it. That's all I posted. I didn't say anything. If anyone asked me, what are your plans? Silence, because I didn't know. I knew I couldn't afford college. I knew I couldn't afford to go to university. So I just didn't say anything. And I didn't celebrate the win that was graduating community college and high school at the same time, because I thought it was pointless, because what was I supposed to do next? What does it matter? Celebrate your victories, take your wins, do the thing, find something else to do, and make the most of it. And as a way to connect this back to the previous segment with Jeff and Adrienne from the Tville Mural Project, I think it's really cool what they're doing in wanting to get the community involved, because not only is it just a way to get people interested in the town and, bring back tourism and make the city pretty again, like it's also a way to inspire people to do different things, or, at the very least to pursue something, be a part of something, right? And it ties into last week with what Ken was talking about, how he likes talking to schools and talking to the kids because it's, you know, inspirational to see somebody doing art as a career, right? Whoever it is, like to them, they don't know if he's bigger, if he's smaller, of anything. They just know he's an artist and he came to talk to them, right? Or Josh, who did the first half of the podcast last time, in which he talked about how he was doing this, he was doing that, he was studying something completely different, and he wanted to be in the music industry, so he started simply recording wherever he could to be able to do the filmography, sure, videography, that he's doing with the event company. And again, it's just, to me, being able to talk to people like that and being able to have those conversations is inspiring, because whenever someone tells me, oh wow, it's so cool that you get to freelance, you get to pick your own hustles, you get to pick your own endeavors, you get to pick your own everything, like that's crazy, you set your own schedule, you take the jobs you want, wow. And I'm like, yeah, sure, because on my end I just see the stress of it, right? Like I'm contract hopping, you know, I'm like going from gig to gig hoping that it's going to be enough to take me into the next one, and every rejection letter that I get feels heavier than every victory that I celebrate. And it really shouldn't be like that, because the same way that I'm glorifying what it is that they do, you know, their days at work aren't always going to be the easiest. Their days at work aren't going to be the greatest, you know? Whether you're, you know, doing something local, whether you're in a globally recognized band or film or TV show or publication, whatever it is that you're doing, you're going to have a hard day. You're going to have a hard time of doing a thing, unless you're one of the lucky few that has everything handed to you. If you're God's favorite, congratulations, and I wish you the best. But the reality is that you have to work for the things that you have. And I'm not saying this at all in a way that is going to be connected to systemic setbacks, because if you guys want to talk politics, you know I'm going to sit here and talk politics. But that's not the conversation I want to have right now. That's not the angle that I'm going for. Right now, the angle that I'm approaching this from is that all of that is things that are beyond your control, right? And so rather, again, than dwelling on that, if I'm not going to do anything to change it, if I don't have the means to change it, if I don't have the power or the voice to do anything about it now, what am I going to do in the meantime? Something else. Because I can't just sit here and sulk because I can't do something about this, when instead I could be doing something about that, right? And so that's what I'm doing, and that's what I hope that this rant that I've gone on for the last 15 minutes yields in any way, shape, or form. A result is literally just to implore that if anyone out there is listening to this and needs to hear that, this is your sign. Do the thing. Whatever the thing is, as long as it's not, you know, murder. Yeah, do it. Why not? Especially if it's in the arts. Especially if it's in the arts, because right now we're going through a really nice miniature renaissance in which people are excited to be artists again. But I grew up in a world where if you weren't doing STEM, you were wasting your time, right? How many times did I hear, oh, so you're studying to be a waitress, right? If I mentioned that I was going to study design, or if I was going to study film or whatever, right? And, you know, you could, to me, like the way that I've always operated is you can say what you want to me. Like I'm still going to study what I'm going to study. Granted, I did go through the motions of getting the associates in science, right? Because I was like, what if someday I do want to do STEM? But it was never because people were like, you have to do it. That's where you make the money. It was out of genuine interest. Like with even in what I ended up studying, right? I ended up studying new media, which had communications and graphic design in it. But I also got to do a bit of like film production. I also got to do a bit of computer science. I also got to do a bit of like stage writing. Like I got to do a lot of different things, which is why I'm so lucky that the major that I got to major in was a thing when I was there, because it was essentially the all-encompassing degree, right? I got to do pretty much everything that I wanted. I even took an astronomy class because I wanted to know about astronomy. Like that's what that set me up for, getting the associates in science and getting the associates in arts. I was able to get all of my gen eds out of the way and then some. So whenever I was in college, I was able to like double concentrate, and I was able to take minors in things that I genuinely had interest in. Were they all connected? No. Did my advisors mention that to me a million times? Yes. Did it matter? No, because I got to study all the things, and all of them have come to be relevant in some way, shape, or form in what I do now. Rather than consider it how a lot of people will tend to do so, in which like, oh, you're just not focusing any area, you're not like developing any specific skill. I'd rather consider myself kind of a jack of all artistic trades because my focus is the arts. It's not like I'm sitting here doing exclusively, you know, oil paintings all day. I'm not exclusively doing graphite sketches all day. I have I've put in the work to like be able to properly call myself an artist in whatever respect that is, right? I can paint, I can do digital art, I can design, I can do motion graphics. I can also put that into your website. I can also modify your website. I can also build you a website, not with code, right? With templates from like insert not sponsored brand of website building host here. But there are all things that I've done in previous contracts and in current times, right? And so to me, it's more valuable to be a well-rounded individual so long as you're good at your craft, if that makes sense, right? Because I don't know to what degree you can do anything and everything without spreading yourself too thin. There's going to be, I think, more so phases in your life when you do different things. And right now I find myself in like a digital media space, right? So right now what I'm focusing on is like the communications aspect of my education, like the promotions and marketing and advertising and all of that stuff, which is really funny because if you know me at all, you know I hate ads. Ad block is the first thing I download on any computer. But whenever there's a really good commercial on TV, whenever there's a really good sidebar ad, the first thing I will do is be like, yo, this is a great ad. I want to check out this product. Because that's how I operate, right? Again, celebrate the small stuff, celebrate the victories, even if that's, I saw a good ad today, I saw a sick product today, because, that's make or break. And before this, what was I doing? Before this, I was doing strictly just painting. I was doing portraits. I was doing that, and that's when I moved to logo design, which is what brought me here. Like, so there's phases, there's ways that you can connect everything that you do, and as the times change, you can adapt and evolve and, hone your craft. Because the full phrase, right, is not jack of all trades, master of none, right? It's jack of all trades, master of none, better than master of one, which I think, having learned that phrase, has made me all the much happier because that resonates with me. And I'll tell you exactly when I realized this is how I was as a person. I'm going to say two things about this, actually. One, the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once resonated with me for the fact that the lady, like, there's a part where this is spoiler, so you can skip the next 30 seconds, or I'm just giving you a quick synopsis. The part where she's at the tax office and she's like going through all of the things that she's trying to write off. And she's like, how is a karaoke machine relevant for a laundromat? And the husband's like, oh, sorry, sometimes my wife confuses her hobbies for jobs. And then as the movie goes on, you find out about like all of the different parallel timelines, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, where she's like, she's everything, everywhere, all at once, because that's multiverse theory, right? So on the one hand, that's a really cool thing that I saw that I liked, that I resonated with. On the other thing, here's my own personal anecdotal story in which in 5th grade, we were sitting in English class and we went around saying what we wanted to be, what we wanted to do. And someone asked, like, what if we want to do two things? Like, what if we can't decide? We're 10 years old. How could we decide? And she was like, okay, yeah, sure, that's fine. If you're stuck between a couple of things, you can go ahead and tell us. And I said that I wanted to be an artist, an author, a photographer, and a chef for some reason. Never liked cooking. I don't know why I said chef, but in the moment I wanted to be a chef. I think I wanted to have a restaurant more than anything, just so I could always have free, good food. And she said, oh, and then at the end I tacked on, and my mom said I should maybe someday consider being a dentist, just because dentists make good money. And the class was like, oh my God, wow, that's so much. Because, people had said like 2 interconnected things here and there. And I came up with this list of 5 things. And my English teacher goes, well, I'm not going to tell you can't do it, but I'm going to tell you you're going to need a lot of time and a lot of money if you want to go to college for all of those. And then, she laughed and everyone laughed and I laughed and I was like, yeah, that checks out. That's fair. Whatever. And I have always appreciated that that's what she said to me, that she didn't tell me pick one, because it helped to kind of realize that you don't have to be any one thing. And I think that's an important thing worth realizing, because jack of all trades, sure, that's one thing. On the other hand, if you put all your eggs in one basket, what do you do if the basket breaks, right? Say that, and I know that that's a fairly absolutist way of looking at things. But like, say you have to move to a different country where your degree isn't recognized, or say that there's another recession and you can't get your job back afterwards because you got laid off and like, now whatever. Say that AI does end up taking over everything and your job is now obsolete. What are you going to do then, right? So I feel comfortable in the fact that I've developed skills in a lot of different things and I'm decent at a lot of different things. There's some things that I'm better at because they're the ones that I focus more time on. They're the things that I've specialized in. But I know that doing a lot of things makes it harder to specialize in any one thing, right? It makes it harder to be good at something to the point where you're an asset in that and not just someone who knows about it, right? But all this to say that the world is so much bigger than we think, and you can do so much more. And so as our time draws to a close, I was thinking about what song I was going to end the night on. And I think I've decided. There were two that I was stuck between. One that's kind of inspirational and, you can do this, you can do that. But the one that I'm going to go with, and I know it's controversial because it's Fall Out Boy and it's from the album Mania, which is the purple one, which is the one everyone hated. I liked it, okay? It might actually be my favorite. Shut up. There's two parts of the song that I will mention here. And one of them is a line that says, "I'm young enough to still believe, but young enough not to know what to believe in." And that resonates for the fact that I've felt that loss before, right? Where, I did everything right. I set my life up for supposedly guaranteed success. And then bam, unexpected roadblock that I can't do anything about. Wow, that's crazy. What now? Because it's like, everyone tells you, oh, you can have hope, have faith, things are going to get better. Tomorrow will be a better day, a different day, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, great, sick. But like, for what? What am I waiting for? What's going to change? Nothing's going to change. And if nothing's going to change, what am I hoping for? And I think that's more so to say that, like, you can have faith in yourself and that you can do something to work around the situation that you find yourself in. And there's another line in it that resonates with that, which is, if I can live through this, I can do anything, which is kind of where I'm at now in life, right? Because that's what I'm doing, living through it. Because, why not? So you manifest it, you attract the energy that you put out into the world, and you get things done, all right? So on that note, thank you so much for listening. I'm Karla with a K, and this has been Podcast with a K. We are signing off with having had a phenomenal conversation at the beginning of the show with the Tville Mural Project. If you ever find yourself in this neck of the woods, being North Carolina, and you want to look at some sick art, find out where their murals are, go take a picture. You can follow them at Tville Mural Project on Facebook, Instagram. Links will be in the description, wherever it is that the description is. If it's down below, on the side, on top, on the screen, wherever it is, you can find everyone's stuff there. For now, though, I bid you adieu. We will see you next week at the same time, at the same place, with new nonsense and new guests. Have a good